fabulous fortune builders. I'm Ande Anderson, and welcome back to the Be, Do, Succeed Global Online Conference. In this session, we're going to dive into what it takes to develop a millionaire mindset and what inspired actions it takes to go along with that millionaire mindset. And you are going to absolutely love our talk today with our very special guest, Cassandra Gaisford. Hey, Cassandra, how are you doing?
Hey, Andy, I'm fantastic, thank you. Millionaires always feel fantastic, don't they?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for being here.
Even you don't.
There it is. I want to tell everyone a little bit about all of the amazing things you're up to in the world. And Cassandra is actually coming to us from New Zealand right now. So it's a day ahead of time, an entire day in advance over in New Zealand right now than it is in the United States where I am. So it's so much fun to connect like this. So Cassandra is a holistic psychologist, award-winning artist, and best-selling author. And she's best known for her passionate call to really redefine what it means to be successful. Cassandra is also the director of Work-Life Solutions, a career and life coaching consultancy offering programs and services throughout New Zealand, as well as internationally for individuals and organizations that want to live and work with passion and purpose. She's also the #1 Amazon bestselling author of the Midlife Career Rescue and the Art of Success series of books, as well as How to Find Your Passion and Purpose. She's also contributed to international publications and has been interviewed on national radio and TV in New Zealand. She has been the resident coaching expert on Television One's Good Morning Show and many, many, many other things. So Cassandra, let's start off by, what do you see as some of the biggest struggles that entrepreneurs tend to have when it comes to their relationship with money?
Well, I think, and it goes back to the opening, Andy, when it's about mindset, and it's also about assumptions. And very often these assumptions, because they are assumptions, we don't challenge them. So we don't really understand that we're making assumptions, and we're not really aware of our self-limiting beliefs. So I'll give you an example. I went to a co-creators group, and that's another strategy we'll talk about, which you're well aware of, linking up with like-minded people. A lot of people go it alone. And there was a lady there, and she's stuck in a job that she doesn't like. She's wanting to build more prosperity. She's dedicated herself to her career that she's no longer happy with, while supporting her husband, who's trying to build prosperity. And he's not really succeeding, but she thinks, well, it's his turn. I'll just park my dreams. And then she said to me, and we talked about, well, for a lot of people, building this prosperity millionaire mindset is around having this burning desire, fueled with, passion and purpose. And but her self-limiting belief was, but I invested so much time in my training to be a social worker. I can't turn my back on that. That would be reckless. So I think it's that kind of, well, who says you have to turn your back completely on? There's different ways to contribute social work to our world. Many people like Anita Roderick and others who built millionaire empires doing good through animal, having products that were not abusive of animals. And this woman actually had a passion for animals and nature. So, who says you have to turn your back on your old life? So I think that can be a big issue.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think a lot of people have gotten, let's say they've gotten a college education in a particular field. I know a lot of people have, myself included, that we aren't necessarily doing, what we thought we would do, or what we were, maybe guided to do or told to do or whatever. And then, letting that go.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people say Paulo Coelho, the Brazilian author of The Alchemist, and he was trapped in a loveless career of that was socially sanctioned by his family law, which can, of course, be a very well-paid profession and a very important profession, but it has to be your passion and purpose, not somebody else's passion and purpose. And even I was reading, I don't know if you know Colette Baron-Reid of her, Andy. She's really inspiring with her kind of the call to action for more people to honour their intuition, which she would say, which should be your first sense, not your sixth sense, regardless of what sense it is. It's so important for developing this millionaire mindset to honor this kind of, she's veering away from the word psychic, but I love the definition of psychic, which is derived from a Greek word, which is all about the soul. So it's we all have a soul purpose, and many of us don't really know what that soul purpose is, or we're not actually actively seeking it. We're kind of just muddling along and accepting what many people are told in New Zealand, and it may be like that in America. They're just told to, well, you grit your teeth, the economy's bad, grit your teeth, suck it up, and you go to work, right? And you leave your personality at the door. So do you get those kind of messages over there?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. The 9 to 5 grind, it has to be hard, working to, work hard now so that you can enjoy your life upon retirement, that kind of mentality, as opposed to what about find something that you're passionate about and your purpose is now, make money doing it. And, I think also like blurring the lines between what we do as a career and work. Right. Yeah. I mean, I love what I do. I'm sure you do too. And it's hard to even separate, oh, this is work versus just life and family life and all that. It all just kind of blends together.
Yeah. And I think for many of us have actually found that kind of connection between, no, we don't leave our personality behind the door. And a big part of showing up and having a prosperous life is actually molding the two, so that, if you break that word career and you sort of lay out all the letters and you try to build a new word from those letters without rearranging things, you see that there's a word care, which is central to the word career. So care, if we and then around there's also the word are. So if we break that word and we put a heart around that, it's around doing who we are. It's not the sort of ascent to the top of the pinnacle, to the to the hierarchy. It's and it's also important for people who are listening to recognize another word in that word career is car. So we change our cars all the time, don't we? We have a family, we need a bigger car. The family leave, maybe we get a Vespa or a bike. So our vehicles change, and we should change. Our needs change, and our desire for prosperity, whatever. And I think it's important, and I'm sure you'll explore that in the summit. What does prosperity mean? And it's not always many sort of literal millionaires with gazillions in the bank as some of the unhappiest or rudest, most obnoxious, loneliest people. So, and the opposite is also true. So,
right.
What does prosperity or a millionaire mindset mean to you? And a big part of it is, for me, the mindset is not being afraid to fail, not playing to win is an important part of a millionaire mindset. They don't play to lose, but they accept failure. It's kind of like a learning action point if you learn from it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So a quick question around like financial blind spots. So when entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs are coming up against some kind of block for themselves, right? Some kind of financial block, but right, we call these things blind spots, meaning that we might not be conscious, that they come from the subconscious mind, and it's something that's blocking us from moving forward. But how do they figure out what those blind spots are when you can't even you see them, right? How do you navigate that?
I think it's kind of, you're blind, right? So you keep banging into the same door. This kind of this limit to your earning potential, this assumption. And so for many people of my generation, the 60s, born in the 60s, it's interesting looking at my daughter who's 26. She has this different kind of mindset, because many of us born in the 60s got channeled into these narrow beliefs about money. And now we're teaching our children, that's why I love your superpower family portrait. We're teaching our children to have a different mindset, and that's because we keep, or listeners will identify, keep bumping into the same thing. So if you're saying, when I was younger, it was like, you can't make money from creativity. It's not possible. You need to go. So I was deterred from doing something artistic and trained to be an accountant, and went, oh my God. I mean, people love accounting, right? So, all power to them, but I don't. It's not my sole purpose. So you keep sort of hearing these messages, and you kind of, I think it still comes back to your body barometer and your intuition. You may not, in your subconscious, in the mind, be aware of these limiting beliefs, but I believe in your body. Your body knows when you're accepting something that's not true. So many people may identify with a heaviness, or just a tightness, or just, when you're in alignment, when something is a truth, a true truth, not a perpetuated by culture, family, teachers, newspaper, whatever. When we know it's a real truth, it resonates in our body and our soul. So for other people, when it's a blind spot, they just, maybe the other thing that can trigger it is you suddenly see people are living the life that, you want. It's a significant life. They're like making money from their creativity, or they've left the 9-to-5 cubicle trap and they're acing it. They're doing stuff like you're doing. They're sitting wherever you are in the world, creating this amazing product or service from maybe overlooking the beach, and then in 5 minutes time they're going to go for a swim. So that the body barometer is saying, wow, I want that. And so then they're saying, well, why can't I have it? What's stopping me? And the art of good questions can actually help people. So a coach can be really helpful, because you suddenly see a good coach will help you challenge your beliefs, and they'll say, where's your evidence for the fact, as I hear very often with the midlife career rescue books, well, I'm too old, I'm 40, I've left it too late. I mean, oh my God. Or or I'm 60, I've left it too late. People live until they're hundreds. Gosh, the Queen of England, she's nearly 100. People are living longer. So who says you've left it too late? Even if you had a year left to live, you could still ace it. So it's very, very important just to sort of the art of good questions and to listen to your body barometer. That's one of many ways. Well, did you have self-limiting sort of unconscious beliefs before you started doing what you're doing now?
Oh yeah, of course.
Exactly.
I'm a human over here, right? Oh, absolutely. And it's a constant practice of working through, prosperity and, affiliate marketing, making money, and all these things is one of my big passions in life. And it is a constant checking in with that barometer and watching thoughts and watching patterns and stuff from childhood pop in, and interesting things are said in there. And it's just a matter of being committed to paying attention, really being aware.
Yeah.
And working
and
through it.
I like that you're reminding everybody that it is ongoing. So it's like, when I heard the Dalai Lama speak when he came to New Zealand once, and he said, positive thoughts are like flowers. They have to be nurtured every day or they wilt, right? Or the weeds are rampant. You don't have to feed negativity. Our world will feed it for you. The world will feed your fear. The world will feed your sense of lack. But the opposite can also be true. Gravitate toward the light, but you have to do more work on it. You do. I remember someone saying to me, Cassandra, your biggest problem? And I thought, well, I'm about to find out. She said, you're so damn positive. And I thought, oh my God. But I have to work at that, because I don't want to feel negative. I don't want to feel a lack, or I don't want to be impoverished or believe. My messages when I grew up was, all I'll ever be is a checkout operator. That's what I got told. I know now why I was told that, because my mother wanted me to get off my butt and go and get an education. So she was instilling this fear message. If I don't get my education, I'll just be a checkout operator. We also know many people don't have an education. Maybe they, higher education as in university or whatever, but they can self-educate. You don't have to let, a lack of money hold you back. But hey, if being a checkout operator is what makes your soul sing, then, and you're happy doing that, then all power to you.
Absolutely. We all have our roles that we're supposed to play here and all of that. And going back to your self-education, my degree is not in any way, shape, or form. I have a background in nutrition and exercise physiology and all stuff that I am super passionate about in my personal life. And I started developing a big passion for the world of business after I graduated and all of that kind of stuff, and went with that. And it's a constant, it's like a daily, many times a day self-education. It never ends. And there's so much great resources and material and so many ways that we have access to information now with the internet, and how to do, you know, Facebook ads, and how to, you know, do this, and, you know, market online, and all these different kinds of things that we have right at our fingertips.
Yeah. So. And there's so many generous people. And, you know, way back in the day, in one of my books, The Art of Success, about how Leonardo da Vinci, how his mindset can inspire us. You know, he was the consummate lifelong learner, and he learned from experimentation. So often one of the strategies I'll encourage with my clients who are feeling despondent, they usually show up feeling despondent, full of despair, desperation. Some people are suicidal. You know, it's that's got that bad. We might call it the dark night of the soul, but, you know, coming to the light is then again looking for evidence of the opposite also being true, and experiment. If you believe that you can't build a prosperous business, well, start looking at these people like yourself and others who are out there, join their summits, listen, and you know, inspirational people are like vitamins for our soul. When you listen to the kind of stuff that you're producing, when you listen to people who are sharing their story of pain and trauma but rising above it, you know, you start to feel emboldened, your heart expands, you start to feel, the big thing is hope. You start to feel hopeful, and that was one of the things Leonardo, you know, said, that without hope or without love, what do you have? So I think, there's so much opportunity to tap into resources to either build the millennium mindset, or to look at, you know, you can go on YouTube and find all this amazing stuff about how you could get out of your rut and into the prosperity zone.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love it. It's so true how much information is right at our fingertips. So, you know, this whole event is all about everybody getting in touch with their inner belief system and making sure to work through all of their inner blocks and all that stuff in order to then take action. So in my experience, a lot of times people get hung up with either focusing on one or the other. They're like, all I'm going to do is work on the inside stuff, and I'm not going to get into action in life, or vice versa. Or they're just checking stuff off their to-do list, but they're not focused on, oh, wait a second, I have this, you know, this voice inside me telling me I don't deserve this, and yet I keep doing things that don't give me results. So can you talk a little bit about why it's important to look at both of those?
So you're talking both the inner world and the outer world?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in say psychotherapy or counselling, we had this lovely triangle, and the triangle is a very symbolic symbol, right? And I hope you can't hear, we're having a torrential downpour outside. It's one.
I did hear a little something a minute ago, so that's probably what that was. There it is. We've got a New Zealand downpour.
A tropical storm. We're having a tropical storm, which is cool because rain is so cleansing. Anyway, so you have the pyramid, right? And I often say to clients, I might draw it on a piece of paper and say, where are you spending all your energy? You know, what are you spending all your time in? For many people, they're probably spending a lot of their time in their inner world, because doing the outer stuff can be fearful for people. It means you have to put yourself out there, or you actually have to take action. You have to risk failure. And so for many people, they're stuck in sort of, and when I say stuck, because they're in the kind of feeling world, but it's the despondent internal world. It's the kind of feeling not so hopeful. Or the opposite might also be true, and where they're doing their kind of passion journaling, or they're feeding all their inspiration, but they are locked in that one internal zone, which is feeling. And they're not challenging, so on the other part of the triangle might be the thinking. They're not challenging this thinking that's coming up, that's still saying, you're not worthy. Maybe they've had a narcissistic mother, like I've heard of many people that come to me have had parents who have really ripped into them, and they're still hearing those negative things, and they're not really doing anything to challenge that. Or in the other part of the triangle, they're not doing external behaviours. So what we're trying to do is get some kind of, you might say, some poise around that, or some sort of balance, by asking them, and we usually might use jelly beans, to kind of move the proportion of where are they spending their time and energy. And sometimes the fact, if you go out and do something, so say you're fearful of, I don't know, networking, which many people are afraid of showing up, and they're not quite the prosperous person they'd love to be, so they feel a little inferior. So we might encourage them to wear something that makes them feel prosperous. So, I love gold, so I've got my gold velvet on today instead of maybe grey. So encourage them to act or feel like a millionaire. What would a millionaire wear? And kind of just do it till you believe it. Show up and think, how would a millionaire person, prosperous person, hold themselves? Because very often people will, lower their head and shuffle and avoid eye contact. And so just by doing those things and seeing how people might react differently to them, that behavior, that external behavior, can actually reset their thinking and in turn their emotions. So that's why it's important to spend equal time, if you like, in each of the zones, because the external reality can shape our, the external results can trigger our internal results, and vice versa. Does that kind of, you would know this, right?
I think you've presented it in a very clear way for everybody listening to get that it is it's a balance. It is a big balance to, take those two aspects of yourself and make sure that you're giving enough to each and getting, it's just like the concept of integrity, right? And I always like to look at it like as walking a tightrope, and whoops, I got a little overly wrapped up in my to-do list, and I need to realign, right? And get back on that tightrope and add a little bit more into my, focusing on my inner world.
And I like that. I like the symbolism of that, because I think it was in the book, I forget the name of the author, you're probably aware of it, it's called The One Thing. Tim Ferriss was talking about it on his show, The One Thing. And he's sort of the myth of balance. It's kind of the grace of the ballerina or the poise. And it's kind of, it's always a bit of that on the tightrope. You're not kind of just, you're always checking and aligning. And on the one side you'll have the external world, and on the other you'll have the internal world. And as you said earlier, it's a continual kind of check-in and alignment.
So shifting gears just a little bit, because a lot of the people on this event are looking at, how do I become more successful, right? The combo platter of focusing on that inner world, but also what kind of steps do I need to take to build a more successful business, whether they're seasoned entrepreneurs and want to just get even more successful, or, they're just starting out or aspiring to start out. So what are like 1 to 2 ways that you personally have marketed your business that has brought you success that you could share?
Well, I always love the thing. There's a guy, you probably don't, I'm looking for the book. Hang on, can I just go grab
Sure.
the book? I'm just here. This guy, Kevin Roberts, he was the CEO of Saatchi & Saatchi Worldwide, which is a big advertising company. Yeah, they would be over there, wouldn't they? And he, you can see I love this book. I'm a sticker.
Yes.
And the whole thing, as he says on it, the idealism of love is the new realism of business. By building respect and inspiring love, business can move the world. So for me, it's creating this love mark. I guess for me, right off, because when I started in business 26 years ago, the kind of stuff that's around now was not around. So I put a lot of my energy into branding, into having good evocative images, stuff people are doing now, right? But a good website is still the holy grail, in my opinion, because how do people find you if you don't have an online presence? I'm saying that you might not have the money if you're starting out to have the bells and whistles, but it's amazing how many people are actually self-teaching themselves using WordPress and doing YouTube videos to learn how to make their own one for maybe $30. My daughter's just started her business and she's still using the Love Mark brand kind of philosophy, and she could go online to Vistaprint she's just going to begin with a good business card so people know how to contact her. It doesn't have to be complicated. And for $10 overnight, she got 500 business cards that look like she's a pro. So it's incredible. So that's kind of a message for people, I guess, more starting out. But some of your people maybe think, I'm sick of what I'm doing now and I want to, do something else. So you can still start small. I think a big message for people is don't over expend. Don't spend too much money straight off the bat and then create a whole bunch of anxiety for yourself if you can't afford that investment. But don't stop. Do something. Do anything. It could be $10 that could change your life.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do bootstrapping, especially in the beginning. Based on the access to information and what you can do in the beginning, you'll likely be wearing many hats, right?
Yes.
Like a lot of people starting out are like, oh, I'm my own bookkeeper and I'm my own website designer and I'm all these things, within reason, obviously, of your skill set. But
and I think the other thing that when I started out, I was a single mother. My daughter was 5, and I was just sick of working for other people, and so I started reading books. Books change the world, don't they? And people sharing their wisdom. And now you can buy a fantastic book. Even some of my books were $3. I mean, wow! But back then you had to wait for it to come in the mail, and it was kind of all around. Act as you want to be. So, okay, and some people think, oh, that's lying. But instead of saying, oh, I'm Cassandra Gates, I've got a business, I created this work-life solutions, plural. We are a global blah, blah, blah. Put the message out there, we, and so that made sure that I set up the system so that I had the kind of presence that looked like I was like the big boys, the big global consultancies. And then I started pitching for work. And, I was still just me, but I aligned with like-minded people who were contracting to me. They didn't want to be an employee either, and I didn't want the hang-up of having employees. And we pitched for significant projects here with companies going through change and restructuring. And I just showed up being myself, my sort of complicated, creative, but pretty clever business. I'm a businesswoman. I've got all my degrees and bells and whistles, but I am still a little left field for most people. I mean, now the world's caught up, the intuition, the creativity and all that. And we just did this really amazing presentation, but also just identifying with around the table with the unions, the HR people and the employees. And these people all have different needs, don't they? They've got different concerns, and I wanted to speak to each of those concerns because I get that. I get what it's like to be a union person, fearful for the welfare of the people that work in the workplaces. I get HR are worried about fallout and being sued, and I get employees are fearful because their job's just gone. And I think because you speak from your heart, they just were universal in saying, we want you. I didn't turn up in a suit, no suits. I just probably had a gold dress on. And they just loved it. They got the emotional vibration, they got the integrity, they got the love mark, and they just said, we want you to deliver it. And that was a game changer for me, to work in the sphere that these global international companies with more money, more resource, more, they seem more motivated by the dollar than they did the genuine care and concern of the people, in my opinion, having worked for them. Act as if, but come with your genuine heart and your genuine desire to make a difference. And people get that. They can spot a fraud.
Right, exactly. Absolutely.
That's why passion's important. You can't fake passion and purpose. You just can't.
Right. I'm so passionate about doing this, right? Yes.
And even if they've got the monkey grin on, which we see around the world, the monkey grin, you can still spot a lack of integrity. It's a vibration. I believe people, like animals, can pick up a scent. People do, even if they're not consciously aware of it. Subconsciously, they're going to react and turn off these kind of monkey suit people. And as some client said to me, I feel like I'm just a sausage going through their sausage factory and they don't give a damn about me. Yeah, true. They may not. Don't go with them. go with someone who gets your story, who really wants you to succeed. It's the same with choosing a coach, right, Andy, isn't it? You know, they've got to be really, in my opinion, excited about what you can achieve, and that excitement is infectious, because you may not believe it as a client. If that person working with you gets you, they can see your essence that you can't see just yet. We all need someone who can see us and help us come to the light.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's crucial. I mean, I have somebody that has your back, that can see things in a different way than you see them in yourself, and can help, coach you, guide you through your journey, whether you're, on a journey to more financial success or really anything in life.
Yeah. And I know on the cover of my midlife career rescue, I talk about that quite but working with a coach was transformational, because feeling stuck in a cage, feeling like I couldn't get out of that cage when I worked for a corporate company, and having shingles, and then having people have heart attacks around me, and feeling flightless. It's a terrible place to be in, to feel you can't change, but to have someone come and stand by you and say, you can fly, I can see your color. We just have to get all that oily tar crap off you, so you can spread your wings, and I'm going to be here to help you. I'm also going to be here to nag you, be your nag buddy, and say, hey, have you done these things yet? Have you done these 5 things we talked about? We all need a nag buddy, don't we?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Like a nag buddy, coaches, mastermind groups, whatever, but friends that you can, have that relationship with. Absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of accountability and things like that, I know that you're the author of several books, so you've probably launched things before, you have products and all this kind of stuff. So one big thing in the world of being an entrepreneur, especially in online entrepreneurs, if you want to put out something new, you need to do some pre-planning and, kind of have a vision of how you want your launch to go, especially if you're getting JV partners to, go along the journey with you. Can you talk a little bit about, your take on that, on being prepared for launching and stuff?
Yeah, it's critical to a good launch of any new product. Otherwise, you just got to silently go into the vacuum, particularly on Amazon, where so much is launched every day. You have to make a splash. Like if you look at the big guys when they're launching a product, there's a lot of noise around, there's a lot of stimulation, you're everywhere, so you can't be everywhere on the internet and making this sort of your book stand out if you're just quietly sort of quickly just launching it and hoping that it will fly. It'll just become like the millionth book on the internet. So I don't tend to, everyone has a different version of how far ahead to plan, but working with my personality, I tend to be pressure prompted in the Myers-Briggs profile, like many creatives, and I tend to set in maybe a month ahead. I actually, but like Coco Chanel, I like to follow the oracles. I have a kind of whether it's a number, or I like to launch on a new moon or a full moon. It's just a thing that it kind of motivates me. Oh my gosh, the full moon's coming up, I better crack on.
Right.
And then again, it's just because a lot of things, the promotions and things, as you know, if you're trying to book a promotion with, say, a certain site, then that could have a 3-week lead time or a week lead time. And then getting your mastermind community or your tribe, so often I'll get advanced readers ahead of time, so that can take 2 to 3 weeks, get any feedback. And then, there's I think it's like any project, it's like building a house. Each book has a different requirement, because it will depend how big or small it is, how complicated it might be, or how new, and how much proofreading and all that kind of stuff. But definitely planning ahead. To one of the errors that I learned from was not giving myself enough time, and then finding other people let me down. And I was committed, and then the book was launched, but I had to pull it back because it had errors in it. And you don't want to send out a substandard product. So I learned to give myself more lead time and not commit to like a locked-in date that I couldn't move back from in case something went wrong. So,
Do you publish your books? Do you self-publish? Do you go with a traditional publisher, or how do you do that?
Well, when I first pitched to it with a traditional publisher many years ago, they said to me that the world wasn't ready for more passion.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I thought, well, that's not been my experience. But so the traditional publishers just said, oh, we can't see a market for these books. And then the world of self-publishing emerged, during that time. So I'll just grab it. I originally taught myself, talking about learning. I produced this book and I put a whole bunch, I did all this amazing formatting in it. And I think here, I put lots of imagery because I know people love beautiful books, but it was frightfully expensive to do it that way. So now I've started 2 publishing companies, Blue Giraffe Publishing, and that's more for self-empowerment books like The Art of Success and Find Your Passion and Purpose and The Midlife Career Rescue. And I also write romance novels under the name of Molly Matthews.
Oh.
Yeah, because romance, I know Coco Chanel, when she was in an orphanage, she used to read romances and she used to dream. And I'm not talking, fine if you love those sort of shades of grey romance. It's not my thing. I'm more of the traditional romance, so like the heartwarming romance. And Coco Chanel used to read about these people having these fabulous romantic lives with these dashing heroes, and that actually fueled her dream. It gave her hope that she could have a life like that one day. So I love, writing romance is fun. So Molly Matthews, and I've just, under my self-publishing company, Blue Orchid Publishing, have released a book called Flight of Passion, which is really inspired by butterflies. So, it's a wonderful world for people, listening to this fabulous summit to reinvent yourself all the time. If you want to add, like any good product, Coca-Cola and all these, not saying it's necessarily good for your body, but just using it as an analogy, they have all sub-brands coming off it, all different variances. So many people still trapped in the thing and that you have to be one thing, but I think it's united by one passion. For me, it's creating more love and more beauty, more positivity in the world, and I do that through my books and my coaching services. But I do it in different ways. The painting behind is something that I painted many years ago. I'm an award-winning artist. My soul is that of an artist, so I'm usually using creative techniques with my clients and writing about art-related kind of topics.
I love it. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I was like, I'm thinking this whole time, that's probably a piece of your art right back there. That's beautiful.
Yeah. It's kind of like Flight of Passion, inspired a bit by the work of C.J. Twombly. But again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning, Andy, being told as a child growing up that I won't make a living from my creativity, and then being hired by corporate companies for my creativity. And this is the skill. I went to a conference in Venice. They said, what is the skill that most people, and again, the millionaire mindset is really around, you have to be able to tap into creative, lateral, out of the box ways. It doesn't mean you have to paint, but just you have to, think, dream the impossible and make it possible. And we can all learn to be more innovative and creative. And some of us just naturally have that ability. And for many years, again, going back to that thing about being launched in the subconscious, I didn't think I was creative because it got knocked out of me so that I turned it off. And for people listening, if you're trying to find that thing that is your true, authentic self, journal it. Remember the times I wrote in my journal, I made a Tiffany lampshade out of stained glass. Oh, maybe I am creative. Oh, I did pottery. Oh, yeah, I knitted that amazing cable jersey. Oh, so I think it's like many of the sort of the spiritual teachers are really saying it's the school of remembering. It's remembering who you really are. And you can do that by journaling or collecting memories or looking back at school reports. And the clue to your sort of potential for prosperity will be in your essence, which is always there. It just needs a bit of cleaning, buffing up to come emerge back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's all a remembering. Exactly. Right. There's a lot of stuff that you may have, gotten joy out of as a child, that you
Yes,
had an experience of being laughed at or whatever. All those experiences most of
yes,
us have had, right? You
yeah,
raise your hand in class and you give an answer, you were passionate about it, and somebody laughed at you, right? And that stuff literally affects
mm,
adults
mm,
to this day, right? These things that we
mm,
create these distinctions about in stories, and then
mm.
choose to work against our passions because of it. So it's all
Yeah,
connected.
and that's an important part of, for people, and that's why I think the prosperity or the millionaire mindset is one of the foundation steps, because I don't know anyone that's not wounded in some way. Some people are more wounded by their childhood experiences. Other people maybe have been blessed, like I think my daughter thinks she's blessed. I'm sure yours does, because we've worked hard to be better parents, but maybe for whatever reason our parents had a legacy of other stuff that they hadn't dealt with. But dealing with your wounds, so if you keep getting stuck and you can't kind of get out of this sort of wherever you are, and you want to go into this more prosperous level, and you're setting limits on yourself, then it's good to go to therapy. There's no shame in that. Go and find a good therapist. Or I love a lot of the got to find a good person who's dealing with hypnosis. But there's some amazing, I think it's Uncommon Knowledge, a UK-based company, amazing Marissa Peers in the UK, who's doing a lot of really great work, especially with obesity, and a lot of people have these wounds and they're eating themselves into these disorders. Reprogramming your subconscious. You can lie back in your bed and you can actually reprogram your mind. You can start to have these beautiful affirmations that are going to literally change your life. I went to a person who was recommended by Bruce Lipton, who wrote the book The Biology of Belief, and he talked about this sort of technique called Psych K, because I could never finish my books. I just had this kind of block around finishing my books, or who was I to be writing these things? Who did I think I was? And I thought, I know it rationally, but I can't get through it with these affirmations and rah and change my dress and all that. It's all part of it, but it was deeper stuff, and it was amazing to go to to feel vulnerable and kind of go to someone and experience something that was really unusual for me, trained as a CBT therapist and a counselor, to go to a spiritual kind of a cleansing kind of past life, sort of really unusual. I just stopped analysing and went with it, and that was a game changer, a lot of the Psych K stuff. And if it was good enough for Bruce Lipton, I thought, well, I can crack on and I can do that too. So go with stuff that, your heroes or people that you're inspired by, if they're recommending it, get out of your own way and don't judge it too much, and just do a Leonardo and experiment with stuff safely.
Yeah. Love it. Yes.
And I finished books now, so it must work.
You must, because you have several. So quick little shifting gears to residual income. A lot of people listening want to know, okay, how can I create a lifestyle for myself where I can, be with my children and be on a trip and making money at the same time and all of that? Do you have any tips or tools on building residual income?
Well, don't we all love this sort of, you wake up in the morning and there's money in your bank account and you don't have to sort of go, and that was a driver for me as a single parent. I wanted to be there for my daughter. And this is the wonderful world now of, and that's why I self-published my books as opposed to go to a traditional, because I get to keep more of my profit, I have more control, and I can tinker with my product all the time. So writing, if you've got something, a story to share with the world, it's so easy. Maybe you need to do a course to learn how to self-publish on Amazon, as I did. I did a course and I still take courses. But it's not, I don't want to sort of make out like it's really easy to make a lot of money straight off the bat. I think you have to have a long-term game and vision, and keep putting new stuff out there, and definitely Amazon. And I know a lot of people now are making, I haven't moved into sort of webinars and online. I have kind of got an online course, but I haven't sort of technified it up a level, but that will be my next step, is to produce maybe through Teachable or something on, because people relate to this, don't they? They relate to the words are, people are time challenged, so being able to watch videos and learn through videos and things. So I think anything you can do where you produce product once, like a book or a webinar or a course, and then you sell it multiple times, and you notice, Andy, you're the queen of this stuff. Hopefully you're sharing your story and someone's interviewing you on this.
Well, I do share. I'll continue to share, and absolutely, yeah.
Well, share a little one now. I mean, what would you say to answer that?
I mean, I would say that definitely, you know, Ike and I, my partner Ike Allen and I, we own Via Media together, and yeah, we have films that we created 6-7 years ago that sell every day in various distribution points. So I think distribution is a big key. So things like Amazon, things like Vimeo, things like Daily Motion. I mean, there's all sorts of different kind of like video platforms. And then, you know, another great like course platform is something called Udemy, Udemy. And that is just, you know, like exploded over the last couple of years as in the world of an easy way to take whatever you teach and turn it into a course using their like really plug and play kind of platform, and you know, getting it up in front of a really excellent audience, and they take care of, you know, so much of it for you. So those are just a couple tips of the moment, but yeah, it's amazing. That is a big part of our business, is being able to, you know, not being able to, if we wanted to, okay, shutting the computers down and not worrying about anything, knowing that residual income is coming in as we go to Disney with the kids, or we're up at, you know, King's Dominion amusement park, or we're taking a trip to the beach, or a trip as in a few minutes down the road, but you know, all that kind of stuff, which is a big quality of life thing for us.
And the big thing I'd say to people, again, it comes down to the millionaire mindset, because I know people with fantastic stories to share. I know people who have been through significant things, and if they would just share their story through a call, or how they got their way out of it, and get out of, you know, ego is the enemy, get out of sort of your worldly self, and just think about what you have to share. And people will, you know, when I developed one of my first tools was like an oracle pack called the Passion Pack, and somebody said to me, you know, who the hell do you think you are? And I was like, sorry, you know, I'm sick of people like you telling us how to live our life. So this is the thing that sometimes you'll attract. People say, oh, you walk the path of jealousy. Okay, we've got to get stronger at, that's their stuff. Okay, you keep walking your path, put yourself out there, just put yourself out there with the thing about, I want to offer something that could, either it's helpful to you, so therefore it might be helpful to someone else, or because you know it might make a difference, or just because you want to. Like, I knew one of my clients, her brother died of obesity, and she thought, I wish I had had the conversation with him and said, I'm really worried about you. And I said, well, maybe that's the book, you know, about how to have a conversation with your loved ones that you're worried about them, because people don't know how to have that conversation without sort of fearing that they're going to drive them to bulimia or something. So, you know, there's powerful stories, and just get out there and do these, learn these Udemy. I don't even know these things yet, but I am going to learn these things. And yeah, hopefully Andy might be able to help me, but reach out. That's the other thing, isn't it, Andy? Just reach out and ask people, you know, can you help me with this? And maybe they've got a course already on it that can help you.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Well,
yeah, it's amazing.
It is. We have so much information, and yes, being able to like partner with people in whatever way, shape, or form you want. Yeah, being able to say, oh, you're about to, I just told you about Udemy, right? You're going to go put up a course, and you know, you might have a question. And if I have questions about, right, maybe some self-publishing Amazon kinds of questions or whatever, you know, and like finding people that you can ping back and forth with. So
yeah, and through a mutual, you know, this, my daughter started her business, she got her card, you say co-creators of joy. We love this whole thing that a lot of people move into this model. It's not this competition, like, you know, at school, this is because you like me. It's kind of like there's enough for everyone, and we've all got a different message and a different connection, and co-creating with like-minded people is probably the number one success tool, I think, for people going forward, is to you don't, even if you're like I am in the Bay of Islands, miles away from, I don't know, anyone really. No, there's people around, but you know, you can still connect like we are through these amazing platforms, and still be with your Vibe tribe, and Facebook is a wonderful tool as well for that.
Absolutely. We are sadly running out of time. I just checked our time. So I want to remind everybody that there are a couple of buttons below this video or this audio, depending on if you're watching or listening right now. And one leads over to Cassandra's free gift and one to a special offer. So could you quickly just give us a little rundown of what these two things are?
The free gift, I think it's a really cool free gift, actually, and people have told me this too, because it's the one of my most popular books on Amazon. So it's free for your immediate download, and it is How to Find Your Passion and Purpose, because a lot of people don't know how to find these things, and it's really simple strategies to get you as you said, attending, noticing, tapping into the signs that this is your things. So I hope that everyone will take advantage of this and go grab their free How to Find Your Passion and Purpose. And it's a short book too, which is the other important thing. It's developed off my sort of oracle cards that I developed. So each chapter is super short, good quick read, probably an hour and a half, and you could be on the way to a better life. And the other one, I'm going to wrap up a book bundle for people, and I'm just in the process of completing another book, Your Millionaire Mindset, and hopefully maybe by the time we can kind of wrap up this bundle, I may hopefully be able to include that, but otherwise, email me directly at cassandra@worklifesolutions.co.nz and say, you said that we could get that. And I will send you a copy, I promise.
Oh, wonderful.
In return for your feedback. If there's anything you think's missing or needs to be in there, just sing out. And that's what's a good thing about creating your own product, isn't it, Andy? You can just keep adapting and improving, and one should. Things change.
Oh yeah, it always evolves. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for both of those, for that freebie. Everybody make sure to click through on that button to go grab Cassandra's free book and take a quick read, an hour and a half, and absolutely. And then obviously the book bundle. So thank you so much for both of those and for being here, and, all the way from New Zealand to, at this point in my life, North Carolina, and all of you watching for wherever you are. Are there any last insights you want to share before we wrap up?
Just keep your vibration high. Just I love this thing about this joy, this move to joy. Just keep being joyful, and as we've said, just keep working on it almost like every minute of the day. But if you get a bit blah, well, that's just like the weather. We do get blah, so surrender to that, and then find the joy again. Go find the light. That's all I would say. It's tough out there at the moment for a lot of people. So just keep being joyful. You'll make a positive difference.
Awesome. Thank you so much for leaving us with that. And all right. And for everything.
I'm joyful.
Yes, exactly. Just feed off of Cassandra's joy over there.
And Andy's. Right. Yeah. And thank you very much for reaching out all this way and including me in this. I think it's an awesome topic. It's an important topic for people.
It absolutely is. All right, everybody, this is a wrap, and let's build a fortune together. Hi, everybody. I just got off another great interview with Cassandra Gaisford, and one of the really great take-homes that she let us know about is you really don't have to start a business in the same field that you went to school for, right? I think a lot of people have a self-limiting belief around, well, I went to school for accounting, so I must 30 years down the road still be an accountant, or I can't try something new. No. This is a block, and this is actually something that stands in people's way of moving forward and developing that millionaire mindset that Cassandra was all telling us about. So, really, really great tip. Another great tip is to self-publish on Amazon. So, right, this is the do factor of this Be, Do, Succeed conference. So if you have a book, or if you want to write a book, and you don't want to go down the traditional publishing route, you can easily self-publish on Amazon through actually a site called CreateSpace. And when you do this, Cassandra let us know that there are really great benefits to doing this because you can update it at any time. If you have updates you need to make to your book, to your strategies, to whatever you're sharing in your book, you can update that at any time. And it's another really great source of residual income. All right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you on the next interview. Again, I'm Ande Anderson, and let's build a fortune together.